You want me to stop?
What?
You were like,
Oh, because it turned on. Cook boots.
welcome to Cook Boots Podcast.
Period. Back in the building.
One more time, one more again.
We just gonna keep coming. So,
Mhm.
y'all
Yeah,
can sit back and relax.
chill out. Nothing's happening. We're not disappearing to another random location and not being consistent. We're gonna
That ain't what's gonna happen.
we're gonna be right sure. Um,
Period.
today, if you can't tell, we're talking about the diddler. That term was coined by
Diddler.
that term was coined
Yeah. We
by
about to diddy bop in this joint. Hey.
our resident linguist and creator of most of the slang that you will hear on this podcast comes from 10. So uh, that's her bag, and she lives in that bag quite well. So
Man,
today,
I love it. I love it here.
yeah. Now I will give you a good foreshadowing because what did I say in episode 1? We knew something wasn't right with Diddy. Now, I have a really weird, eerie, I don't say it's weird or eerie because if you know spirituality, you know spirituality. But I know I have a tendency to say stuff and then stuff to start popping
It pops off.
like really fast. It's just, that's why I really don't I try not to say too much because it's going to happen. I'm going to win the lottery. Anyway, so
Lit. Let's do it.
we're going to go through this court case civil action from Lil Rod Jones against Sean Puffy Diddy take that Diddy Doom Combs and some other folks.
I
Because
think
after
it's so
reading,
wild how he started calling himself Love, though. That's what's really wild.
yes, I'm like,
Towards the end, he started calling himself Love. That's crazy.
and posting pictures with all kinds of giant amethyst crystals.
Yeah, it's too late. Try to do that work. It's too late.
It's too late. It's over with, baby.
It's interesting too to me, like how both Cassie and this guy Rodney Jones, excuse me, like also sue the companies, like the corporations that he's associated with. I think
Yeah.
I'm not sure of all the legalities of that, but it takes it to another level. Like it's an extra level of like or layer of padding, like to support his claims and to make them that much more like viable. But he's saying he's got tons of irrefutable evidence, whether it's footage in the phone, witnesses. It's crazy because some of these accusations are just like, what are you into? Whoa.
But contextually, that is a part of my concern that unless you were a hired informant to be on site and collect this information, what you got rolling, what's going on. And we're going to talk about that because
what made him initially start recording?
And if it was so bad,
uncomfortable. He may have felt uncomfortable.
And to that point, then why continue to?
Well, he needed his bag. I mean, I've been involved. I mean, whether it be a thing that's professional and legal. I mean, I've been in some situations in life where it's like, bitch, I've invested too much. I'm not turning back.
And I think that's what he said because there was a few Instagram videos that Lil Rod dropped before this lawsuit came out, and he was basically saying the first one was a GoFundMe trying to solicit help to start a lawsuit against Diddy so that he could be paid for his work on the Love album. Right. And he was saying that he was a producer and normally producers are supposed to get 50% of, the writings, the credit, and that he didn't. Stevie J and the artist Jazzy both commented under these posts and stated that he was just an engineer, not a producer. And he is, inflaming, the situation is he's mad that he didn't get a certain amount of money. He was saying that he worked and he would spend holidays on Diddy.
Oh yeah, that's all up and through here.
Right. So in the video, he said that. And then he came back like a day later and was like, I'll no longer be in public. My family's being threatened. People keep telling me about what this man can do. Until further notice, you won't see me. Got it. And then a week later, this
lawsuit.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to go through the lawsuit with y'all so that everyone is equally informed. Be clear, though, that this is what a plaintiff files against other people. Rodney Jones, father. And so this is not like the verdict. This is not, oh, this is what took place and this is what happened.
Yeah,
This is
it's allegations.
allegations and an account of one person. However, for me, if we are sitting here looking at case number 241457, I don't think that it's going to be Cap. And apparently now Cassie is now supporting this.
Yeah, she's assisting, right? And what I mean is it some of this stuff that she's talking about, or she's basically co-signing like, well, that does sound similar to what happened to me, XYZ.
I don't think we know yet because haven't seen it in black and white. I just know that she's cooperating apparently with law enforcement.
Can't be good. I
And
mean, here's the thing: we have this 73 pages of, again, charges, allegations. People are innocent until proven otherwise. It's like, okay, how can some of this stuff? How can it be proven?
when we go through it, we're going to see, and then we'll be able to ask these questions. Not the trigger warning inside the document, but okay.
Clearly, should we read that out because we also are, hashing up some things that may be triggering?
Yes. First, just going top to bottom, I want everyone to be very clear about the list of names here. These people, Sean Combs, Justin Dior Combs, Ethiopia, Lucian Charles, UMG, big Universal, big money grip, Love Records, Motown, then Universal Music Group itself, and some John and Jane Does and ABC corporations. Jesus, this is real. All right, trigger warning. Go ahead, sis.
Trigger warning. This document contains highly graphic information of a sexual nature, including sexual assault. Additionally, there are graphic images of the aftermath of a shooting, redacted images of sexual intercourse, redacted images of minors, sex workers, and prostitutes, details of sex trafficking, and the illegal distribution of guns and drugs. That's some of the type of material we'll be covering here today.
Yeah, there'll be some photos. And then, of course, they just recount here who they're going to refer to in the document as. So,
as what?
Lil Rod, Mr. Grange, Mrs. Quorum, Love Records is LR, Motown Records is MR, Universal Music Group is UMG, Combs Global Enterprises is CGE, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Jurisdiction is important, right? Because understand Diddy's work this is why this is federal, okay? His work crosses state lines. He's in multiple states. We have to get to racketeering charges, RICO laws, things like that.
RICO standing for, let's let them know. Either way, I'm not sure the exact words, but it's as Kaya said, a racketeering organized crime unit.
Well, I'm a Google.
Yeah. So essentially, bribes, threats, money laundering, illegal weaponry, a host of other things could fall underneath that. But this is what, of course, Mr. Combs and all the other defendants are being accused of, is being a part of an organized crime.
So RICO, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO, of 1970 seeks to strengthen the legal tools and evidence gathering by establishing new penal prohibitions and providing enhanced sanctions and new remedies for dealing with the unlawful activities of those engaged in organized crime.
That's wild.
They should investigate the Democrats and the Republicans.
Ooh. I mean, it is a host. It is a umbrella of things that could fall underneath, this racketeering, this RICO. And once you get in that, it's kind of like you and your associates can be roped in for any number of things. Like, I mean, on a regular day, you might have just been, doing some things, negotiating business wise. But once you're under investigation for RICO, racketeering, and being an organized crime organization, any move you make can be seen as a contributor to that factor.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And on top of that, remember, like, I don't know if anybody else's parents did. My parents used to be like, be careful who you hang out with, because you could be with somebody and they done did this, and then they come be around you, and now you're both involved. And it's like, I didn't ever understand how you could go beat the shit out of somebody, and then we go to the movies, and now we all going to jail.
Yeah, it's wild.
But if we're all gang, then I guess.
I think in this particular case, though, because it was so professional, you really just can't let the other people slide off the hook. Because of course, Diddy is the main suspect, or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But no, some of the things that we're hearing here, again, they are all allegations. But if they are true, those people ain't just by association. They knew, what his lifestyle was, from the drug pouch to, floating around the crib naked. And I didn't even know that the dude come from Chicago, like a gospel background. Mm-hmm. Georgia Mass Choir, this and that. I mean, can you imagine that? Because his parents was probably, dangling on his ankles. Don't go do secular music. Don't do it. And then hit a nigga go
popping out with the
a whole sex traffic ring. It's crazy. They told you to stick with Jesus. They told you. Like,
but you also have many people who said the first time they saw anything sus from Diddy, they was out. So I get power dynamics, control. Diddy is very forceful and gets clearly, and this is just from stuff that he's done on camera, that Mike Tyson clip. There's it's clear that he gets off on intimidating and doing it publicly, where there's a pressure for someone to remain intact in response to his advances in real time. So it's clear that that's a thing. Even if you look at the Justin Bieber video, where you been at, man? You ain't all that, that pressure, he's clear, intense. He makes me uncomfortable, period. But just to be clear, that this document is covering the span of September 2022 to November 2023. This is the time frame we're talking about, and we're talking about specifically New York law. Although that they were in New York, California, Florida, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, where Diddy holds his yacht. But New York is where the majority of the conduct took place. Whew, Jesus. All right.
Look at that. First of all, that photo.
That hairline just gives. First of all,
are we dealing with the same brother Love? That nigga looks disheveled. What the fuck? Even if I'm a gay man, sir, no thank you.
There's something going on, because that's not the hairline I be seeing on Instagram. So what's up?
I mean, I understand a little Beijing because that beard is giving frosty. But that hairline? Is that even him? I feel like this photo is a hoax.
Ain't no way. This is a court document. That means there's no Instagram filters involved. So apparently this is what.
So do he be having on a lace front?
It's got to be something, because that's not giving. No, baby, no. Right after Diddy is Pretty Boy Justin Combs, who is the son of
too. This is the strange part for me too. People be having sex with their parentals around. That's crazy.
But again, the standard of lifestyle and living that these people experience is not. There's no rules. So yeah, I can his father would probably raised him to do whatever he wanted whenever he wanted. There's no limitation. So we don't know what could be normalized,
Yeah, that makes me have questions now. Lori, I have questions. Because didn't Lori Harvey date both of them?
Yes, she did. She tried to come on somebody's show recently and say that that was like she never had sex with both of them. But you would date like, ma'am, okay, Ink, I'm sorry, I got to share this whole screen because there are certain things that we just have to do.
Girl, cut it out. I didn't have sex with them both. Get out of town. And
You
what
have,
was the point of saying that? But did the person inquire or she was coming there to clear the air?
I don't know, child.
That's wild. This is crazy.
Because this is come on now, Lori. 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 And Steve Harvey was present, apparently.
But he's supposed to be at some of the parties too, right?
Right here. Look. Lori is there with Diddy. I don't know about you, but if I tend to put my hand on my man's the back of his head, you know what I'm saying? If I'm dating somebody, that's you don't do that to your friend. Okay? This is my favorite picture right here. Because look at this face right here. This is when they were exposed. Y'all got on matching shorts.
I'm about to say stripes and whites. Stripes and whites. They are booed up. I cannot.
No. I'm sorry, Lori. I know you said that nothing happened. We don't believe you. You're lying.
Well, no, now we have to see the dynamic of the son when she dated him. Because maybe that's the one she didn't have sex with, is the son.
Okay. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that.
That nigga Diddy. Look at this nigga.
And Steve Harvey just sitting there. Steven, you know that's a grown ass, old ass man.
And first of all, that's not his daughter. Okay.
It's not. But he be out here popping and locking. My kids, my daughter, them home, my kid, you know. Lori Harvey and Justin Combs. You might have a point, Ink. Because the only picture we have here, that's given, oh, look at my stepmom.
Yeah, that's a child to her, I feel like. But I mean, people, we did the predatory age gap show. So, I mean, but they're closer in age than her.
They're closer in age. So there were no real photos of.
Oh. Yeah, but you don't, right. Who's this? With the complex over?
Huh? Oh, right here.
Middle row, yeah.
That's Trey Songz.
Oh my gosh. She's outside.
Trey Songz. Michael B. Jordan.
I feel sad for him for falling for that.
Franklin Saint. Don't forget Future.
Not man. Toxicity. King toxicity. So Franklin Saint is what took me out because what is his real name, honey?
I don't know. Oh, Idris Damson. Sorry. Oh, it's not Idris, is it?
Yeah, it is Idris. I guess that's like a thing over there.
A little English shit. Yeah. Well, we don't have any pictures of Lori picture with Justin, so they might be. So she might really what she meant to say when she said, "I didn't date no father and son." Maybe she didn't date no father and son.
Oh, she might just hung out with him. She might just hung out with him on some clout.
Yeah, but dated the dad.
Yeah, because the son is giving teeny bop. Okay, so we're out of here on Lori.
Back to the affidavits. Lucian Charles Grange, rich white man, owner. Okay, owner. Sorry, his description is up.
Of what? Universal Music Group?
Universal, yes. CEO of Universal. It gets better. Ethiopia.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Who is she?
Habtemariam.
Can you put us back on the document?
Oh, you're not on the document?
No, we're still on Google.
Oh, child. Forgive me, y'all.
Baby, my skin is skinning. Period. All right. This man, Lucian, out
Lucian
here.
Charles, CEO of UMG.
See, Lucian make things go away. We could tell that's who he is.
And he gets referenced in lots of rap songs.
For real.
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
Drake. See, you
Oh,
be
well,
asking things and stuff. I don't really want to.
you know that's his style right there. He get on my nerve. But Ethiopia, I feel like I see her on so many like documentaries where I thought she was like an industry ally, some good representation. And here she go all up and through this affidavit. I don't appreciate it.
Like something like tell Lucian I'm blowing through my budget, blah 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 blah.
Oh,
Anywho,
things like that. Okay.
um, and then Ethiopia Chief of Staff to Sean Diddy Combs Global Enterprises. I'm sorry, no,
No.
Motown Records. I keep reading
Yeah.
below that. Motown Records, former CEO of Motown.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus,
Big wig.
she's gorgeous. And then Christina,
KK.
Christina Quorum.
Mm-hmm. That's the chief of staff.
Yeah. So also Motown Records, Love Records, UMG. All right. These are when we start to come in with photos, as she said, as 10 said, Mr. Jones hails from the city of Chicago and was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. Very musically talented, child prodigy. Okay. There was also some sort of
He
video
said he
where,
played over 13 instruments.
right, over 13.
That's
And
crazy.
there was something, a video that Lil Rod has on his Instagram of him reading a comment Diddy made about him to him, and Diddy laughing as it's being read. Like
Okay,
basically,
what was he saying?
it's like you're a piece of shit human. We don't really need your talent. At the end of the day, you're here, just to do your job, and you can, if you don't like it, you can. And so that's like, and Lil Rod is reading like, "Did you say this about me?" Like that kind of thing. So, yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, okay. So I think as we dig deeper into this, I'm like, are we in a place where we're like, this is super bizarre? No, seriously. Like, come on,
Yeah,
bro.
it
Like
is.
it's a circus. It's a circus at this point, and it's like what you keep making a great point of. Why not just leave? You know, and there's a part of me that understands. Okay, you feel like you're chasing your dream. It's right there. These people are being accused of racketeering, which would also include, again, threats and bribery to tell you, oh, we could get you a Grammy, or your dream is right there, or once all this, these songs are written, this album's done, this money's going to come rolling in. But it's just kind of like, how long will you do this dance?
And the only time that you got to the point where you were trying to get legal is when they wouldn't pay you. But beforehand, you seem to have to be have all the pictures of all the fuck shit going on, and you're right there.
Yeah, that's why it seemed weird to me. And it's like, I ain't saying any of these things are okay.
Yeah, no, not at
The
all. But
assault, the allegations, even the intimidation, like that's indirect. You see some goons coming in, keep collecting guns, and people just bragging about, yeah, that's like when I shot Shine or told Shine to take my charge. Like, yeah, you're gonna be looking like, okay, who am I dealing with here? But you're not kidnapped, bro.
you're not. And that was, some of people's challenge with the R. Kelly case was like, these women were recounting the situations, and it's like, well, there were no, like, were the doors locked? No,
Right. Were there chains?
no.
No.
And so that's not to discredit witnesses, because I understand from a psychological standpoint, there's a lot that goes into people feeling trapped or stuck, like Stockholm syndrome. Even when you love the person, because these women said they loved him. It's R. Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Being willing to do whatever they said, following directions, being obedient, all those things. So I get it. But there is a point where it's like, well, when they brought you the bucket and it was time to shit and piss in it, did you think now that it was okay? Like, maybe it's time to leave now? Maybe? You know what I'm saying? And that's not to minimize victims, but it is a real thing that I think we have to, like, look at and understand, so that we don't, I think we have to understand that, so we don't discredit those people just because they stayed.
Yes, I mean, trust and believe. It's like I get it from both sides.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's probably like slowly stacking up. They didn't
Right.
just, his first week at writers camp, you know, in the studio, they're vibing. We're working on single number one. Just pull out all the pink cocaine at one time and
Right.
guns,
Right.
and
Like,
Diddy naked all at the same time, like the whole combo. It's just like this trickling to where eventually it's like, yo, what am I involved in?
right. Like, a nigga's been shot in the bathroom. How did we get here? It's a slow, and that's usually what groomers and predators do. Is they start small and they just. And honestly, we're all being groomed. I want you all to know that we're all being groomed, because we're all. Remember when you couldn't say certain words on television or radio, and now the threshold for what's acceptable as far as language is so much wider. That's the same exact thing that happens when a pedophile will take a child, put him on their lap, and give him candy. But then slow, or then it comes to talking about, do you have boyfriends or girlfriends? Then, like, the conversation starts to shift and expand, and then now we're watching porn together. I haven't touched you, but I'm now now we're watching porn together. It takes so much time. That's why it's called grooming, to get to the place where now they're in sexual activity and behavior with the child, and that child is under the impression it's okay, because this is a year-long process. I've been around 20 million times.
Mm.
And so, like, the same thing happens with the society that we're in about what's acceptable and what's okay. And then, of course, in these power dynamic situations where people have power that goes unchecked, and they slowly start to introduce people to things that come along with the lifestyle. This is what we do. This is how, and Lil Rod says that in this document, that Diddy was like, I had sex with, and we're going to reveal who that is. I'm sure everybody knows by now. And it's so funny how they redacted the names of the artists, but then described them to a T. Like, you should have just said their names, because we know who you're talking about. But anyway, so they give the background on Lil Rod, Prodigy. So, summary of events from September to November 23, September 22 to 23, 9 songs on the Love album. Okay, missed holidays, birthdays, family events by being in Diddy's presence. He said that basically Diddy required so much of them, which we know because we saw him make motherfuckers walk from goddamn Timbuktu to Brooklyn for cheesecake. So we understand, we know he's not lying about that.
Right,
And
we know he knew too. The
correct.
show wasn't limited to whoever felt like doing some Diddy research. It was out there. It was a joke, nigga. You
Correct.
went to another borough for a piece of cake. Yeah, so
Right.
he's well aware that this person has this tyrannical behavior also,
Mm-hmm.
or he had the possibility to know.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And then to me, that's when I start getting wild. Like, okay, you're gonna mention that you missed holidays, birthdays. That's where it comes up again. You were not kidnapped.
No.
You could have got up and went back to your family if you wanted to.
But it's also clear that if he did that, he would not be paid. He still ain't been paid.
I'm
But
about to say he still didn't get paid. What was the guarantee that he was gonna get paid in the first place?
I hope
Does he not have a contract?
something's going. Something. Yeah. Where's the contract at? Because what Stevie J and them is saying is you were an engineer, not a producer, and they're two very
Okay,
different.
so what y'all pay him for his engineering? Because y'all changing the title of stuff. The point is the boy worked.
Correct. And gave a year and 2 months of his life.
Right.
So, throughout his time with Diddy, he witnessed and experienced and endured many things that went far beyond the role of a producer on the Love album. And that these claims have been corroborated through witness statements, video and audio recordings, and images that Mr. Jones has in his possession.
Mm-hmm.
Mr.
Again,
Combs required Mr. Jones to record him constantly. That's weird. And on several occasions, Mr. Combs took Mr. Jones' cell phone and began recording himself. As a result, Mr. Jones has secured hundreds of hours of footage and audio recordings of Mr. Combs, his staff, and his guests engaging in serious illegal activity.
Mm-hmm. Irrefutable.
Let's scroll. Mr. Jones, go ahead, sis.
Oh, excuse me. Mr. Jones has secured irrefutable evidence of, okay, what do we have here? A through what? What is that? I'm not controlling the screen. Kai is. This is crazy. The acquisition, use, and distribution of ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and mushrooms. Okay. Now that, all right. It's like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
B, the displaying and distribution of unregistered illegal firearms. I can see how that could be used for intimidation tactics.
Mm-hmm.
You see people moving guns around, who they handing them to, what's supposed to go down that night, somebody to piss somebody off. Then you see guns get the moving. All right. Let me make sure I don't step out the box because guns is moving around here. That's an intimidation tactic.
Yes, I'm very intimidated in the presence of a gun.
Right. And then you see, how they handle other things that they dislike or disagree with. So that might make you, kind of check yourself before you approach them incorrectly. Okay. Mr. Combs providing laced. Now, this is where he starts getting wild. Mr. Combs providing laced alcoholic beverages to minors and sex workers at his homes in California, New York, and the U.S. Virgin Islands and Florida. Now you're drugging children, cross state lines. You're wilding. Mr. Combs' chief of staff, Christina Quorum, KK, instructing her staff to retrieve drugs so she can provide it to Mr. Combs for his consumption. Christian Combs drugging and sexually assaulting a woman. Mr. Combs detailing how he planned to leverage his relationships with Bishop T.D. Jakes to soften the impact of his public image of Cassie Ventura's lawsuit. Young Miami's cousin and or assistant sexually assaulting Mr. Jones. Actor Cuba Gooding Jr. sexually harassing and assaulting Mr. Jones. Rapper who was redacted on Mr. Combs' yacht consorting with underage girls, sex workers, and R&B singer who's also redacted in Mr. Combs' Los Angeles home consorting with underage girls and sex workers.
Now pause. This little number 3 next to rapper for I, and this little number 4 next to J, next to R&B singer for J. This is how they kill me in this.
Listen to the description, y'all. 3.
A Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj. Meek Mill for 100, Alex.
Foolishness, like,
come on, are y'all like, what's going on? Just say the motherfucker's name. But I guess legally they cannot because they don't want to get sued, right? So,
but what is a redacted? What is that about? What does that even mean? It's been withdrawn because you can't say it. What is redacted?
Right, like it's covered, like out of, I don't know, and that's weird because why would you redact something that you could stand 10 toes on? But it's basically,
or why would you redact it if you're going to describe them down to the T?
With one full blown statement that just completely makes it clear who they are. You don't even have to add them little numbers. You should have just left it there. But okay, thank you.
Let's look at number 4, y'all.
Number 4. Let's just get it big.
Get it big.
A Grammy award-winning R&B singer who had trouble with law enforcement after assaulting a Bayesian billionaire.
That fries me.
Cooked. Absolutely cooked. So we're going to go back up and see who did it. So we know that 3 is Meek Mill and number 4 is Chris Brown. Meek Mill on Diddy's yacht consorted with underage girls and sex workers. And Chris Brown in Mr. Combs' Los Angeles home was consorting with underage girls and sex workers. There was a shooting. Jesus, this is not going to be one episode. It's not.
First of all, we if the people want us to pull it apart for them, that's fine. Great. That's what we're doing. But this is crazy here. I mean, y'all want bit by bit? Yeah, dog.
Because there's 73 pages. Well, let me just tell y'all this. What I'm not going to go through. I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. I love y'all. I'm not going to do it. I'll send you the link. But we're just going to go. We're going to breeze and go through the big stuff. Okay?
Yeah, we're going to breeze until our time is up, and then we're going to leave y'all, the rest of y'all. Because this is craziness. This is
ridiculous. We're going to show the photos.
And we read it. You know, yeah. Of course, we covered it because we wanted to be prepared when we talked to y'all about it. But this is outrageous.
It's a lot. Like, we're only on page 8.
8.
We haven't got nowhere near Cuba Gooding Jr.'s freak ass. Nowhere near. Or the man being drugged and woke up and found himself in the bed with an underage girl. And people do that. People will drug you and implicate you in some shit. And apparently Diddy has thousands of hours of recordings, which is what someone suggested that Raid was about, trying to recover those items or plant other evidence in it, that it really wasn't about real, you know.
Well, they were saying they wanted the items that may have incriminated other more powerful people than Diddy.
Correct.
And also mentions in here, I'm not sure which page or how deeply into it we'd have to go, but he has a whole separate person that works in his like IT department that knows all of the tea. Like, he has all of the footage and coverage. I forgot his name. Jose, I think.
Jose, yeah. Yep, that's who it is.
Crazy.
Chalice recording to studio shooting on September 12th, 2022. Now, mind you, Justin then already had a DUI by this time that disappeared. But we all remember. September 12th, Mr. Combs held a writers and producers camp at Chalice Recording Studio. I'm sure social media can corroborate this because they post everything. Present at the camp were Mr. Combs and his son Justin Combs and Justin's friend, G. G is a 30-year-old tall African-American male. In addition to these individuals, other musicians were present at the camp. This writer has spoken to several musicians who attended the camp. One evening during this camp, Mr. Combs, J. Combs, and G were in a heated conversation. The conversation was moved out of the studio and into a restroom adjacent to where Mr. Jones was sitting. Mr. Jones was approximately 2 feet from the bathroom when gunshots rang out. Mr. Jones recalls hearing multiple gunshots.
Here's what I'm going to say. We back to you not being kidnapped. If you would continue on with the recounting of that night's events, because I'm going to have to jump in at some point.
Mr. Jones immediately went into a state of shock and fear that he would be shot next. Here's a moment that we were kind of suggesting about earlier that adds up. Mr. Jones genuinely believed that he would be shot through the door due to how close he was. After the shooting ended, a crowd gathered around the restroom. When the door finally opened, Mr. Combs and Justin exited. G was lying on the restroom floor in a fetal position, holding his stomach and bleeding out of his leg hip area. Everyone stood around looking upon G. Frustrated by the lack of aid to G, Mr. Jones dropped everything, ran to G, and immediately began placing pressure on G's gunshot wound to his stomach. As he was applying pressure to his stomach, Mr. Jones realized that G was gushing blood from another area near his leg and hip. He decided to lift G and place him on the toilet seat. Mr. Jones asked the crowd to call the ambulance. Mr. Jones lifted G and brought him to the ambulance at the studio's front. At this time, Mr. Combs and Justin disappeared to another part of the studio. Mr. Combs gave strict instructions to inform the police he had nothing to do with the shooting. He also forced Mr. Jones to lie to the police by telling that G was shot standing outside the studio by a drive-by assailant. Here is a news report of man shot outside party at Hollywood recording studio. Look at the title.
Let me tell you something. Please. Because, no, this is beyond Mr. Jones's lying. This is beyond everybody in the party is lying. What police pull up and don't need to have a look around?
And see the crime scene.
Facts. And you just accepted that the shooting happened outside because somebody told you that. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. This is insanity. And then I was in fear because I was sitting adjacent to 2 feet away from the bathroom. I don't know what motherfucker on God's green gonna hear some gunshots and not move. You remain seated. You stayed seated.
If you were scared that you was gonna get shot through the door, you weren't fearful that you
didn't duck, you didn't hit the deck, you didn't do nothing. No. You're not gonna convince me of that. And on top of that, you was rescue 911 when the door did open.
That's what I'm saying. So you wasn't shooketh that you might be retaliated when you didn't see nobody else rendering aid. You thought it was okay for you to render aid.
Everyone stood around looking upon G. What is that language? Who looks upon a shot motherfucker? No. There's something ain't right with this story.
We'd be screaming. No one's calm unless they're all high on coke, and even then, you probably would really be screaming. But just to not tip over.
If you're on drugs, you're gonna overreact to the situation.
Correct, unless it's like heroin. Mr. Jones has.
On top of that, people. So everyone that was at the writer's workshop corroborated this one story.
Who was at the writer's workshop?
I need this same group of people to follow me around in life, because people can't even get a story right when they want to.
Who was at the writer's workshop? Mr. Jones has several corroborating witnesses who spoke with the writer anonymously due to fear of retaliation from Mr. Combs. They have agreed to speak publicly when subpoenaed. So we gonna hear. I can't wait to see this court case, child. And then Mr. Jones has the clothing he wore that day and believes that he may still have the stains and DNA of G's blood. The following are screenshots of the aftermath of the restroom where G was shot earlier by Mr. Combs or J. Combs.
So it's gunshots ringing out in a contained space in the bathroom. 2 mugs just gingerly stroll out of the bathroom. No one's panicking, nothing. They just looking at the shot nigga down on the ground.
Ooh, sorry.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Clearly, G was not shot outside of the studio, as Mr. Combs instructed his team to report to law enforcement. Mr. Combs and the defendants, LR, MR, UMG, and CRS provided private security for the writers' camp at defendant CRS. So that's how they're implicated. Lucian, Universal Music Group, all of them. They provided security for the situation, and therefore probably were the ones that gave the misinformation to the police. Or probably knew the police.
Well, that's how they're involved with this particular aspect.
Mm-hmm. The security was porous and lackluster at best. The fact that either Mr. Combs or Justin Combs were allowed to enter CRS with guns, and those guns were not confiscated by security, is a clear breach of duty by Mr. Combs' defendants, LR, MR, and UMG, to protect Mr. Jones and the other attendees of this writer camp. As a result of the shooting, Mr. Jones is severely traumatized. Mr. Jones now suffers from PTSD, severe anxiety, depression, and insomnia. And he ain't getting paid. Now, the next event. Mr. Jones
threw it up on the screen like that.
Mr. Jones was sexually harassed and assaulted by Mr. Combs. Jesus Christ.
Want me to go do this?
Yes,
one?
Please. I cannot.
Mr. Jones was sexually harassed and assaulted by Mr. Combs. Throughout his time living with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones was the victim of constant, unsolicited, and unauthorized groping and touching of his anus by Mr. Combs.
Okay, can we just hold on?
And you ain't leave?
But it's not even that. Do we all know we know where the anus is located, okay? The anus is not a surface area. It is betwixt
the cheeks.
So unless you're walking around open ass, Jesus, I'm sorry. And it's not. So this man, he has to be coming in, taking his hands, sticking them in your pants, and then going betwixt your butt cheeks to touch your butthole. Continue. I just wanted us to be clear about what's happening here. It's not just a
not just grabbing your booty.
Right. It's not like a boob.
Like walking past
like,
nightclub, brushing against your ass. It's going inside.
It's going inside. All right. And these events took place in multiple locations, so that just lets you know.
LA, New York, Florida, and the United States Virgin Islands. In addition to the unsolicited and unauthorized touching, Mr. Jones was forced by Mr. Combs to work in Mr. Combs' bathroom as Mr. Combs walked around naked and showered in a clear glass enclosure.
Now, we heard that with the chef, too. The chef said that, too.
What chef?
Diddy chef who quit and filed a lawsuit against him for sexual sexual misconduct.
All right.
Diddy chef sues him for sexual harassment. Former chef who claims she had to serve him a post-coital meal. A woman who
used to mean?
This was reported by Essence Magazine, child. What does post-coital mean?
Like after sex?
Yes. Yes. Combs to prepare and serve entrees and appetizers to him and his guests while Mr. Combs and his guests were engaged in or immediately following sexual activity. On some occasions, Mr. Combs was naked and he made comments about his body and asked the chef if she was attracted to or liked his body. She was lured into a situation where she could be accused of theft and ultimately terminated and was let go in 2016. She was suing for sexual harassment, hostile work environment, and a number of other workplace-related claims. She is seeking unspecified damages.
This man is a menace
to society. Okay.
Power is dangerous if you are not prepared to hold it. All right, let's see what's going on. As a heterosexual Christian man, Mr. Jones was uncomfortable with Mr. Combs' advances and expressed his discomfort to Mr. Combs' chief of staff, Christina Quorum, KK. KK responded to Mr. Jones' complaint with, Sean will be Sean. KK also attempted to downplay Mr. Combs' groping of Mr. Jones' anus and genitals as friendly horseplay, stating that these acts were Mr. Combs' way of showing that he likes you.
Yeah. The reporter voice, and it cooks me.
Because we got to make it through these things. Because Mr. Combs is out of control.
Mr. Combs is crazy. I don't want Mr. Combs to like me. Hate me, Combs. Hate me. That's how. No, he just likes you.
Likes you.
Showing that he likes you.
Not going his hand in genitals. No.
You saw?
I just want to go ahead. I'm going to toot the boots horn and say, we cranked this shit up. Episode 1, speaking on the significance of Mr. Cat Williams' interview and how he said, you have to tell Diddy no. We spoke on this.
We did.
We opened it up. We introduced ourselves to you with that topic. 5
weeks ago.
Yes. So you're welcome, but let's get back to it. All right. Despite these assurances, on several occasions when Mr. Combs began to undress and walk around his house naked, KK would say, okay, I'm leaving now. Then she would disappear. KK's hypocrisy is breathtaking at best or enabling at worst. Mr. Jones believed that KK aided and abetted Mr. Combs' sexual assault of him and was working with Mr. Combs to groom him into accepting a homosexual relationship. Through these sexually deviant acts, one would say Mr. Combs has a pattern and practice of engaging in such nefarious activity. This ongoing conduct shows that Mr. Combs cannot be rehabilitated. I found that comment so powerful.
Yeah. That is the issue with R. Kelly. Like, the issue with R. Kelly is not that Like, and we don't know what happened to Diddy because something had, like, it had to have happened, right? That's kind of how these things work. A person has experienced powerlessness, assault, violation. It's been normalized to them, and then it just kind of plants seeds in their spirit that bear fruit. And if they get power, they plant those seeds in other people. R. Kelly's inability to accept or acknowledge what he was doing, like that Gayle King interview, to this day, he has now attached himself to Diddy and been like, they doing to him what they did to me. Now Diddy's really going to jail and needs to, because I don't even believe in jail. I don't think that the jail doesn't work. But
Yes,
if
I
a person,
believe in jail.
I don't believe in it. But if a person cannot be rehabilitated, they need to not have access to resources to continue the behavior. Like, I don't listen to R. Kelly not because his music isn't fire. I don't listen to R. Kelly because I don't want R. Kelly to make a dime and then be able to use that money to continue the behavior that he did to soothe his his unhealed wounds, because he don't think he has a problem. And Diddy,
Yeah, that's why I wonder, like, where did this come from? Because it's beyond gay behavior. Like how how social media has taken it, like, oh, saying no Diddy, da da da. Which I even used it the other day just to give it a spin, see how it works. It's beyond that, though. It's beyond, associating P. Diddy with homosexuality. As you stated, it's power and it's control. And it's like, this is a wildly talented person. It's not happenstance that he's had hit after hit after hit, and so many artists' success associated with his leadership. That's not coincidence. And for those things to be muddied, and that history to be marred by whatever sexual deviance he cannot move beyond, or that he's chosen to let control him and really ruin his legacy, that's outstanding. That's crazy. Like, it's to the point it makes you almost look at this like this has to be sensationalized, because it's so outrageous. It can't be completely real. It has to be fabricated. Like, I feel like someone's trying to sell me something when I read this, because it's so outlandish.
But this man, as you see down here in the corner, this writer is in possession of the video and will provide a copy to the court. They're not saying any of this stuff. Anything that, I'm sure there's plenty more that hasn't been stated in this 73-page file document. But this is stuff that they can corroborate.
Mimi Faust.
Mr. Combs attempted to groom Mr. Jones into engaging in gay sex. Mr. Combs was aware that Mr. Jones looked up to and idolized Stephen Aaron Jordan, i.e., Stevie J. Stevie J is an American DJ, record producer. Y'all know him. Y'all know Stevie. Stevie!
I'm not going back.
I'm not going back to the street of Stevie.
I said Mimi Faust, them shoulders. Pillow talking with the next bitch.
Stevie has a history of
women like being associated with this.
He likes women, but he dates women that have masculine features. So we're going to put that there. Now, what they're saying basically in all this is, in this picture here, that's Stevie J penetrating a white male, a white homosexual male. But we're going to go through the details. Stevie was a part of Bad Boy Records, won plenty of Grammys, helped people like Mariah Carey, Tevin Campbell. He's a producer. Stevie is basically, and he's in Lil Rod's comments on Instagram telling him, you ain't no producer, you're an engineer. Stevie is a producer. Jay-Z, Eve, Faith Evans, Jodeci, B.I.G., not B.I.G., why did I say that? Biggie, and 112. Like, and then Stevie J also worked on a Love album. So
it does say B.I.G. right there.
the Notorious B.I.G., but we call him Biggie, so I don't know why I just read it like that. But
Oh, okay.
Mr. Combs, used access to Stevie J and his knowledge of Mr. Jones' admiration of Stevie J to groom and entice Mr. Jones to engage in homosexuality. Mr. Combs went so far as to share a video of Stevie J anally penetrating a Caucasian male without a condom. This was done to ease Mr. Jones' anxiety concerning homosexuality. According to Mr. Combs, this is a normal practice in the music industry. Look, even Stevie J is doing it. That's quoted. Mr. Combs informed Mr. Jones that he had engaged in sexual intercourse with rapper Redacted and R&B singer Redacted and Stevie J. Now, why they say Stevie J's name but redact the other people's names? We're gonna keep going. Mr. Combs promised to make sure
He's
that
part of the suit too.
Oh, he is? Oh, okay.
Probably.
I didn't see his name up there, but maybe he's, I don't know.
Maybe he's a John Doe 1 through 10.
Right. Well, he ain't John Doe right here. Mr.
A lot
Combs,
of things are weird. Like, why are they calling Young Miami in a court document as opposed to Carisha Brownlee?
correct.
Why are they calling her a character name as opposed to her actual government name? This is a very strange document. I don't know.
I don't know what's going on. And then Mr. Combs promised to make sure that Mr. Jones wins Producer of the Year at the Grammys if he engaged in homosexuality. The following are screenshots of the video of Stevie J anally penetrating a Caucasian male that Mr. Combs provided to Mr. Jones. If you want to see who the redacted artists are in this one, they have done us a service of saying the exact same thing, that number 5, the rapper that Diddy had sex with, is Meek Mill, a Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj. And the singer is Usher, who had performed at the Super Bowl and had a successful Vegas residency.
That's crazy.
Now, what I found out in my little research is that there is a porn star who is claiming that this is not Stevie J and it's actually him. And that porn star is D'Angelo Knockout Marquise, on Twitter, Knockout D33. I tried to look at his face and I can't confirm or deny it. I can't tell. I don't know. But that he's saying, he's like, oh, that he tweeted a picture of this and said, oh, that's crazy. That's actually me. And yes, I've been at Diddy's parties. Now what? Well, okay.
But can they put that in the affidavit if it's not the actual person they're claiming it to be?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
Undermine the whole case. So we hear you, porn star, but
facts. That sounds. It's giving someone paid you to say that. Okay.
Yeah. It's giving that this is supposed to be Stevie, and all right. So that's what happened there. Thanksgiving, Young Miami and her cousin. Now this sounds weird to me, but I'm, I'm gonna let you share this one, sis.
Okay. Yeah. How I feel about this. Calling her Young Miami, first of all, is outrageous.
Carisha Brownlee.
Carisha Brownlee. I mean, they're not referring to her as such, so technically with us covering this document, we should not either.
I guess.
And then who's cousin? Why is cousin just cousin and not named? Either way, Thanksgiving 2022, Mr. Jones is sexually assaulted by Young Miami's cousin. On Thanksgiving Day 2022, Mr. Jones was in Mr. Combs' house located in Miami, Florida. Young Miami and her female cousins were also present. Mr. Combs was intoxicated and offered cocaine to Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones rejected him and proceeded to walk to the restroom. While using the restroom, Young Miami's cousin burst into the bathroom and began groping Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones believes that Mr. Combs sent her in there to sexually assault Mr. Jones. As she entered the bathroom, she dropped to her knees and began performing oral sex on Mr. Jones' exposed penis. Mr. Jones pushed her away and exited the bathroom. Young Miami's cousin did not accept Mr. Jones' rejection, as she proceeded to follow Mr. Jones out of the bathroom. She started undressing and attempting to straddle him and have sex with him in the presence of Mr. Combs and his staff. Once again, Mr. Jones pushed her off. The following are images from a video of Young Miami, her cousin, Mr. Jones, and Mr. Combs. Mr. Jones and Mr. Combs on Thanksgiving Day, right before Mr. Combs invites Mr. Jones into the restroom and attempted to force him to take cocaine. Young Miami and her female cousin who sexually assaulted Mr. Jones on Thanksgiving Day 2022. Trafficking and Victims Protection Act.
Well, before we go there, this could just say what is concerning or curious to me if I was a other attorney.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard this before, and maybe I'm just ignorant, and I don't know everything. But it's hard for me to understand how, number one, and I guess drugs are involved, so you don't care that he just finished pissing.
I was thinking that too when she said he began performing oral sex. I mean,
And the began.
How deeply was he into the pee though? Like, did he already shake? I mean, I don't know.
It doesn't matter to me. A dribbling is I don't want none of that. But that's me. Now, on top of that, if she began performing, how do you get to the point where you begin doing it?
And then he just walks off.
Right, like you're a grown man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I can't visualize how I'd ever be able to force myself onto a grown man and not, you know what I'm saying, like get knocked, like be fearful of getting knocked in the head, or I don't know how I'd be able to start the performance. I feel like if the performance has started, how do you even get
to that though? The drugs.
So was he saying he was on drugs too?
No, he said he denied the drugs. I'm talking about her. I don't think she had any of those things in mind. They gave her a mission. Go in there and get
how did he allow her? How did he allow her? How did he allow her to start?
Yeah, like what was her angle? Like, was it dive down on the dick? Was she already round?
Yeah.
What?
I need a reenactment.
What's the angle?
I need a reenactment because there's teeth involved. I know men to be real sensitive. He probably like, I need to know what happened.
That's what I'm saying. Some of this stuff sounds a little wild.
Sus.
Yes, but very sus.
We don't listen, we support victims until proven, and I'm with you.
And that's the thing too. Is it stuff, because we've all seen the television shows, early 90s, whatever. When people told their two different sides of the story, they were both so outrageous, but the truth was somewhere in the middle. So it's kind of like, bro, were you in there kind of, kissing her, y'all doing a little making out type of thing? Like, and now
you're a married man.
Who? Rodney Jones?
Correct. With kids.
What? Did he see his wife during any of this?
What?
Yeah, because that's a whole nother finding. That's crazy. You married in this house acting like this?
A year and 2 months?
Oh no, Rodney, you were engaged at some point.
Yeah, something ain't right, Rod. Something they should have paid you. They
should have, so you could have kept quiet. But you stood for too much to be a married man. Because when I know, here's the thing. I ain't never been married, but being in a relationship, when you talk to your boo, you got something going on, especially if y'all apart from each other. You're telling them all facets of your day. What the fuck was you saying to your wife was going on while dick was slanging and you working in the bathroom?
The first day that your butthole was touched.
Yeah, baby, it's been. I'm gonna just lay down. It's been a long day. What are you saying to your wife?
Maybe he didn't say anything at all. Maybe he just hid. I don't know. It's hard. It's rough.
Well, how's it going? How's the camp? How many songs have you gotten done? What was the studio session like today? And your ass is
right. They shot someone in the bathroom today. I guess you just can't.
Well, at the writers' camp, we was on our way to the chorus, and then shots rang out. What the fuck? No.
But they do have pictures, and this is clearly, apparently, moments before. Who took these pictures? Because he's in the pictures. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they're from a video of Young Miami in there. And that is Carisha and her cousins, because they look like they about to fight, and they always be play fighting and stuff. Mm-hmm. But then, so it must have been a real wild freak off, because
night, Thanksgiving.
Right, you wasn't at home on Thanksgiving Day. What's going on?
That's what I'm saying. And it ain't like y'all just putting pedal to the metal working so hard. It's just the 4 of y'all, 4 or 5 folks there. You could have
Carisha,
went to
where
see
are your
your
kids at on Thanksgiving?
Mm-mm.
It's too much going on for me. Okay.
Trafficking and Victims Protection Act. Throughout his time with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones was transported from California to New York, Florida, and the United States Virgin Islands. During this time, Mr. Jones was forced to solicit sex workers and perform sex acts to the pleasure of Mr. Combs. On or about February 4, 2023, Mr. Combs forced Mr. Jones to bring prostitutes and sex workers back to his home in Miami, Florida. See what I'm saying? This sounds sus, man.
The sex workers that Mr. Combs forced Mr. Jones to bring back to his home. There's a picture of that, and then there's a picture of sex workers in Mr. Jones' bed the morning after he was drugged. The first picture, on or about February 2nd, 2023, Mr. Jones believes Mr. Combs drugged him. Mr. Jones recalls waking up naked, dizzy, and confused. He was in bed with 2 sex workers and Mr. Combs. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. That just gave me chills because I can't. He also recalls aimlessly wandering around the house with no clothes on.
He's high.
Mm-hmm. On another occasion in Miami, Florida, on Thanksgiving night of 2022, Mr. Combs asked Mr. Jones and DeForest Taylor to enter the studio bathroom. He asked them for a $100 bill because he wanted to do cocaine with them. Mr. Jones was scared, but luckily he didn't have a $100 bill, so Mr. Combs waited a little later to do coke with Young Miami. Later that evening, he required Mr. Jones to solicit sex workers from Booby Trap on the river located at 3615 Northwest South River Drive in Miami, Florida, 33142. Mr. Jones did so, and Mr. Combs forced him to engage in unsolicited sex acts with these sex workers.
Is his wife gonna stick beside him after this?
And then they got a picture of Booby Trap, in case y'all want to know where Booby Trap is.
What is sex worker recruitment tools?
Okay. He has evidence of a phone number that he had to get from Booby Trap. Instagram profiles of 2 of the sex workers that Mr. Combs required Mr. Jones to solicit and have sex with at his home in Miami. As a part of Mr. Jones' sex worker recruitment tools, Mr. Combs provided Mr. Jones with an exclusive bad boy baseball cap and required him to wear it to Booby Trap on the River as a signal to any sex worker he approached that Mr. Combs was in town and had sent Mr. Jones to recruit them. Okay, so that's a part of one of the systems that Diddy has established. Mr. Jones had no desire to visit Booby Trap on the River.
But when they see the brand,
right,
it's associated with soliciting sex workers.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Jones had no desire to solicit sex workers from Booby Trap on the River. Mr. Combs used his power and influence to intimidate, because that's what I was worried about, the word force. I'm like, how? Okay, what's the force behind it? Mr. Combs used his power and influence to intimidate and force Mr. Jones into soliciting sex workers from Booby Trap on the River. As detailed below, Mr. Combs used many tactics to maintain dominion and control over Mr. Jones. Apparently, these workers were accustomed to servicing Mr. Combs and would know that he was in town by the sight of the bad boy's baseball cap. Mr. Jones had no desire to solicit, or they said that 4 times, to solicit or have sex with the individuals in the previous paragraph.
Because it's strange.
Right. Power and influence.
He's sending him to go buy this, and he's saying he don't want to buy it.
But he went in there. The following is a phone number of another sex worker that Mr. Combs required Mr. Jones to solicit and perform sex acts with in his home in Miami, Florida. Mr. Jones had no desire to solicit or have sex with the individual in the previous paragraphs. Mr. Combs used his power and influence. Niggas could keep repeating that. Mr. Combs used many tactics to maintain dominion. He promised him a Grammy for Producer of the Year, Love of the Album. I don't know how you could do that. He offered him $250,000 to purchase all the instruments he wanted. He promised him ownership of his $20 million property on Star Island in Miami, Florida. He promised access to record label executives like Lucian Charles Grange and Ethiopia Habtemariam. Sorry. I'm sorry to all my Ethiopian friends. I'm sorry. I couldn't pronounce it. Mr. Combs would often switch up his approach. He would go from promising Mr. Jones the world to threatening Mr. Jones with physical harm. Mr. Combs threatened to eat Mr. Jones' face and informed Mr. Jones that he was willing to kill his mother, Janice Combs, if he must, in order to get what he wants, so he wouldn't think twice about harming Mr. Jones. And I know Diddy killed, what's the lady?
Kim Porter.
I know he did. I know he did. From immediately, my spirit was like, oh no. No. We don't even know what this lady done went through.
Yeah, when they announced that she had passed, I already knew it was something afoot.
Up and stuck. Up and stuck.
Mm-hmm.
This is another situation with Chris Brown. Chris Brown was at a party with sex workers and underage girls. It started at 7 p.m. What? And they forced all the women to drink laced DeLeon liquor. This is weird to me. Like, who starts a party at 7? What the hell type geriatric shit are y'all on? In addition to sex workers, there were at least 5 women in the crowd who were under age of 16. So there were kids present, and maybe they did or did not know they were children, or maybe they didn't care. But either way, them kids that was drinking that laced up DeLeon, don't drink no DeLeon.
You know a kid, a 14-year-old, when you see a 14-year-old, bruh.
Mr. Combs did not check the identification of these underage girls. I want to know how Mr. Jones knows how old they are. The presence of these underage women made Mr. Jones very uncomfortable. He attempted to leave. Mr. Jones forced him to stay.
He did not check the identification.
Because yeah.
Right. Who checked walking around the park? Let me see what.
They already here. How they get here? How they get there? He attempted to leave, and Mr. Jones forced him to stay. Mr. Combs went as far to take that man's car keys. And after being forced to drink laced DeLeon shots, Mr. Jones began feeling lightheaded and recalls passing out, waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning naked with a sex worker sleeping next to him. Screenshots of a video from the night is embedded. And they got Justin in here with the underage female right here in front of him.
So even if Mr. Jones, here's the thing. If Mr. Jones is outrageous and he just looking for a bag, it's so much other stuff going on that's incorrect and unlawful. It's a wrap.
Cause
the underage girls, and then you're lacing, because multiple staff members have said there was the inner circle drinks, and then there was the lace drinks for the children.
Yeah, they have corroborating evidence. Chris Brown. I also know Chris Brown is walking around looking like a drug mug for a while. Big zombie vibes. So now you're implicated. This is the last thing I think
vibes. That's crazy.
They look gaunt in the face, like real bad. Like, and Kodak too. Kodak got a little better. Maybe he got some help, but Chris been dangling for a while. And I'm clear. People we need to check on. We need to check on Trey Songz. Clearly, Trey Songz is going to get a documentary for himself. He's going to be a surviving Trey Songz. He's going to be surviving Diddy. But I'm curious about what happened to him on the front end, especially being a child, like a teenage singer. I'm concerned about Chris Brown, teenage singer. Orlando Brown, and I already told y'all a whole lot. Y'all be thinking Orlando Brown's crazy. He is, but is he? Notice how Kanye ain't involved in none of this. Will Jay-Z be implicated at some point? God, I hope not. And that's just because I love B. But I think the last part that we should cover before we wrap this nasty ass thing up is Cuba Gooding Goddamn Jr.
Yeah, he bothers your spirit.
Because it's known. He's had too many instances of just outright
violent.
And they always cast him as a jovial, funny motherfucker in the movies and stuff, but he's a full-on for real predator, like same level as Diddy. And this is where Mr. Jones starts to look a little even more suspect to me, but it's Cuba Gooding Jr. I don't know. And a photograph is literally a second in time, so facial expressions really don't mean anything. It could be a wince, looks like a smile, it could be a nervous laugh that looks like a smile, but as I scroll down, you'll see. Mr. Combs attempts to pass off Mr. Jones to Cuba Gooding Jr.
Mr. Jones believes that Mr. Combs was grooming him to pass off to his friend. This fear became reality when Mr. Combs introduced Mr. Jones to Cuba Gooding Jr. while they were on Mr. Combs' yacht. During the introduction, Mr. Combs suggested that Cuba get to know Mr. Jones better. He then left them alone in a makeshift studio on the yacht.
That makeshift cooks me. Now, Diddy don't got nothing makeshift.
Makeshift? Are you
Diddy,
kidding?
Diddy doesn't
What,
have anything
what do they even mean by that? Makeshift
makeshift.
studio on a yacht at that. Can something be makeshift on a yacht? It's too silly. Okay. And then embedded here, we have some photos of Mr. Combs and Cuba Gooding Jr. Moments before Mr. Jones is assaulted. And the second photo we have here is Cuba Gooding Jr. forcibly touching Mr. Jones on Mr. Combs' yacht. Oh, force. But he is smiling. Okay, so as evidenced by a video of which screenshots are embedded below, Cuba Gooding Jr. began touching, groping, and fondling Mr. Jones' legs, his upper inner thighs near his groin, the small of his back near his buttocks, and his shoulders. Mr. Jones was extremely uncomfortable and proceeded to lean away from Mr. Gooding Jr. He rejected his advances, and Mr. Gooding Jr. did not stop until Mr. Jones forcibly pushed him away. The following is a screenshot of the encounter with Cuba Gooding Jr. Next, they covered the Love album. Throughout his time with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones was under an implied work for hire agreement. Well, implied, not written. He was not compensated for his time living with Mr. Combs or for the songs he produced. As evidence, he was listed as a producer for the following songs on the Love album's final release: Deliver Me, Stay Part 1, Reaching, What's Love, Stay a While, Moments, Need Somebody, Homecoming, and Tough Love. Mr. Combs and defendants LR, MR, UMG all benefited from Mr. Jones' work product. They failed to compensate Mr. Jones for his work. As a result, Mr. Combs and defendants LR, MR, UMG were all unjustly enriched at the expense of Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones attempted to work with Mr. Combs to secure his publishing and royalty rights for the work he completed on the Love album. Mr. Combs only offered Mr. Jones $29,000 for 13 months, thousands of hours of work, and 9 songs that made it to the Love album. Ironically, Mr. Jones was willing to take $50,000, his publishing and royalties. Mr. Combs' self-serving greed would not allow him to pay Mr. Jones an additional $21,000.
Man, I bet you wish you paid it now. And this is what I love. Mr. Gooding has a storied history of sexually assaulting and forcibly touching individuals against their will, and they included a link for USA Today. And this writer has retained other creative artists and writers who have experienced the same treatment from Mr. Combs and will file suit in the coming weeks. I say we stop here. Because
where are we? Page 23?
Yep, this is page 22.
Okay.
Page 23. Oh, Jesus.
Well, we can pick back up. We'll start with this. Maybe this is a part 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I that's what I would say. And we can pick back up.
Mm-hmm.
To keep it on pace, keep you all informed, because I'm sure as other journalists and media outlets continue to do what we're doing, more things will be revealed. And, again, as I stated earlier, this is very bizarre. So, we just saw recently P. Diddy bike riding near his home on Star Island, in the mall with Stevie J, just not seeming to be very bothered.
With the children going like this to the cameras.
Yeah, not bothered by or affected by these allegations. So we'll just continue to cover them and see, what it looks like as things change, if they do at all.
Yeah. And what I will say is that although, I think the money was a big motivator of this person coming forward, what happened, apparently, and they have evidence to support that. So, there are no perfect victims and there are no perfect perpetrators. There's not anything we can do about that. So I don't want to go hard on anybody, honestly. But for those of us, we have to fight our black urge to make excuses for our celebrities that we love, and just understand that people are people, and people have issues, and people do things, and if they have power, then. But I mean, there's no way that, see this thing. Can we get Trump next? Because there's no way, if this is Diddy. Come on now, you think Donald? Where are the where are the white whistleblowers? Whites? I know some of y'all probably watching because y'all like to infiltrate our spaces. Where are you at?
And this is what I'm saying about this. And maybe the difference is because one is entertainment and one is political. Not that there's a huge difference between
But
the
he
two.
started in entertainment.
I mean, again, not that there's a huge difference between the two, in America especially.
Mm-hmm.
But is it a race thing? Because even when they said like, oh, the Homeland Security is doing the raids, and the photos came out shortly after of what his home looked like after the raids, I was like, hasn't Donald Trump's homes been raided and stormed recently, looking for documents and other things supporting illegal activity? I didn't get to see the inside of his house after that.
No.
And I'm not saying that he is correct. He's, guilty or innocent, because it looks crazy either way. The point of the matter is like the level of exposure in this, this really wild, like manhunt. Because in reality, it's like if even if he is guilty of these things, this is between him and those victims. The court of public opinion really doesn't offer much that matters in a court of law. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we all have an opinion about things, but like whatever. The real issue is about the justice. So it's kind of like, why is one person afforded a level of discretion when being probed for illegal activity, and another person is just like, it's just thrown out there. Mm-hmm. It's just whatever about mm-hmm. this person's, family, his children being detained for whatever reason. Because while we don't know what led to that, what we did see is more Black people being detained by law enforcement. These are public images that are crammed down our throats. So it's just, you just have to ask yourself these things. And that's why I was salivating to get my hand on this affidavit, because it was just like, why am I being railroaded by this story? Like everywhere I look. I could go on Facebook trying to see my grandmother, and it's just like, P. Diddy, in cocaine, like everywhere. Like, what, bruh? Like, what's happening? And I just don't know that other cases of equal or greater political importance are given the same level of coverage.
Absolutely not. So I think that it's also very very telling that we're being bombarded with all this information.
Great word.
I really am disturbed, honestly, just being a survivor myself of other situations. It takes like no one wants to, but we also have to know, like people have to be held accountable. But of course, there's not going to be a equal or fair treatment of someone of color there would be of, someone who's of the majority, air quotes. So, because when you look at the global view, they're not the majority, but I say
at all.
So, I pray for Mr. Jones and Mr. Jones' family, because I'm sure having this information out is hard and probably embarrassing and challenging for his marriage, his children.
That's why I said, if he's still married, is she gonna stick beside him?
And he will never work in Hollywood again. He won't. Unfortunately, people are going to punish him for telling.
I mean, he might get to work with like Kurt Franklin or Kanye.
They're all
no.
It's the people behind
the gospel. That's crazy.
Kanye can't work with Kanye. Kanye's out here selling T-shirts for $5 on his website. It's not going.
Oh no!
No one's gonna work with Kanye. So we'll come back. I'm sure there will be updates and plenty more for us to discuss. Yeah. Let us know what you think. Send us some comments. Make sure you like, subscribe. Did you learn anything that you didn't know already going through this detailed affidavit, or was this current and common information for you? And I'm also challenged by all, like, we also, this is what I want to say. We got to be careful. There's not going to be a human being by the time it's ready to go to a jury. There's not going to be a non-biased jury in this country.
Everyone knows this story.
They're not. He's not going to get a fair trial.
It's not going to be anyone that is his peer, because that's what it's supposed to be, a jury of your peers.
Nobody.
No.
They'll be mad about his wealth. They'll be mad that he's black. They'll be mad that he got away with it.
They'll be severely out of his age bracket in terms of wildly old, which again circles back to mad that he's black, mad that he's wealthy. So, yeah.
He's done. So, Diddy, we see you out here trying to save face and take pictures, but yeah, do you, boo?
He's cooked.
You're cooked boots.
Boots.
Flambe.
Flambéed.
Roasted, toasted, well done. Over. Out. Over. With. All right.
Cajun.
Blackened. Blackened. Honey. Broiled, burnt, done. Them boots is over with. Fried, dyed, and laid to the side.
Chew the leather, baby.
Chew the leather, honey.
Chew the leather.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us for this disturbing episode.
Thank you for joining us.
And we'll be back with more information. And hopefully, by the end of this, we'll be able to find some sort of perspective that feeds our spirit in some way, shape, or form.
We are looking for it.
We're looking for the sunlight.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, perhaps the sunlight is just for the victims and the reveal.
Yeah. Because see, like now I want to talk to everybody at Booby Trap. What?
Not an investigative reporter. My understanding, Booby Trap is in Miami, right? Period. I'm going next time.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Everyone does not need access.
I think there should be an issue with people who are sex workers. That's a career field that's old as time. The issue is forcing people to deal with these things that they don't want to. And when people are underage and unable to make an informed decision of whether or not this is what they want to do.
I mean, underage or on drugs.
Yes, period. That's it. If you have the capacity and you'd like to be a sex worker, have at it.
Get your money, baby. They doing it out here. Just don't go in there with that bad boy hat on, Inky. Too far.
That's so deep. Let me tell you something. No, what I thought about when they said you had to have the paraphernalia on to go get your people out of there, I was like, I was associating the comment that you made that something happened to Sean. And he named his record label Bad Boy. Like perhaps a molester or somebody would say that to him.
Like the Pied Piper did.
Like you've been a bad boy.
We don't know how to... Sean, we want to know what happened. You're going to jail, so just tell the story.
Hurt people hurt people.
I want to know. I want, because Robert told us what happened to him. Robert has an affinity for 14-year-old girls because his sister was 14 when she raped him. He got stuck. People get stuck there in the experience.
Trapped in the loop.
People are suggesting that it was Andre Harrell.
Who did that to Sean?
And we want to talk to
in his life, though. Is that?
We want to talk to Sean's mom too. Sean,
Janice,
how you feel about your son saying that it's up for you at any moment?
Up and stuck, and so if it's up for her, then you already know it's nothing for me to.
You could go, honey. How do you feel about that? Has he always been like that, Janice?
Questions that need answers.
Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back with the boots a boiling and broiling. Until next time.
Peace. Love ya.
Peace.
Thank you for joining us. Cook boots.